Hey everyone, it's Paolo. So, we're kicking off Pride Month with a very special guest, the one and only David Archuleta. Now, we all fell in love with him when he was on American Idol, and he just killed it on The Masked Singer, and he's got a new single coming out June 2nd called Up. So there's so much to talk about, and I can't wait because David's story is so beautiful. See you guys with David.
Spoonful of Paolo, here we go.
So everything's good, you guys. Everything's good? Yeah. Okay. Are you ready, David?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. I have to say again, thank you so much for being a guest on A Spoonful of Paolo. This means so much to us. So thank you, David, okay?
Oh, thank you for having me.
Of course. So I gotta also say congratulations on being the runner-up on The Masked Singer. You killed it. Like, the judges fell in love with you. You know, I know that you taped the finale back in February. You didn't tell your family and friends that you were gonna be part of the show. But what was that journey like for you? And could you have felt all the love that the judges and the fans were giving you? Like, could you have felt that?
I did. And what I learned quickly about The Masked Singer is just how lovely of an experience it is because the panel, they're not judging you. They're not like critiquing your performance. They're just there to just have fun and just highlight the good things about your performance. And I really like how it's not about like grabbing you at the throat and putting you down and making you feel insecure. It's just like, okay, can we figure out who you are? So it's such a different experience from American Idol.
Yeah. You know, I loved it at the end. You got us all crying, and I'm going to just read a part of what you said. It was so beautiful, but you said, being macaw has felt liberating. Coming out felt liberating, and it is scary, and I believe that if I lived the way, like being queer, that I was going to be evil, so I worked really hard to be anything but that. It got to a point where I thought, maybe it's better if I'm not here. You know, I have to say, and I know I speak for everyone who loves you, that we are so grateful and we are so happy that you are here because you're just a beacon of light. So I want to make that very clear. And I also found it so interesting when you said, like, taking off the macaw mask felt liberating. You know, coming out, which is another way of taking off a mask, felt liberating. Were they freeing in completely, like, two different ways, or did it feel like the same thing for you?
It felt like, I feel like they definitely were tied together. Being the macaw, there's a lot of fun in it. It's like, hey, if you know who I am, this is me now, and I was the macaw, and it's just kind of fun to be like, for people who knew who I was, to give them that nostalgia factor. Like, oh my gosh, I remember him. And as far as like the coming out, it did feel like this is the first time I'm performing on TV since I've come out. Like I haven't done it since I've come out. And it was scary to be in front of the audience and in front of a mass group of people. Like, they're not just the people who follow me on Instagram, so they're not following my journey. So I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna bother people or make them uncomfortable, but like, seeing me and knowing that I've come out after they knew me in a different way before. So that was scary, but at the same time, it was freeing just to show myself. And as the macaw, it was symbolic because I'm like, here I am. Like, there's no hiding this anymore. The macaw is showing his colors. It's bright and red. It's in your face, and the wings are just spread out. And that was a little scary for me to do because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm used to just kind of keeping to myself and hiding. But it was like, I can't hide. It's time to not hide anymore and just show off my colors and who I am, just like the macaw is. So I felt like I got to learn how to be more like the macaw, being on The Masked Singer.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I mean, I remember Ken, he was like bawling, and what he said about you and how he watched you on Idol with his family. It was just, we all have a story. We all can relate to that because you're just magnificent, and your talent is beyond amazing. I also want to say that, you know, you are a master in like doing these shows, like these competition shows, because like when you were 10 years old, you entered your home state, the Utah Talent Competition, and you won that. when you were 11 years old, you were on Jenny Jones here in Chicago because they had an episode.
Yes.
It was the future Latino like star. When you were 13, you're on Star Search, and then when you were 16 years old, as we mentioned, you were on American Idol season 7, and now you're on The Masked Singer. I mean, I know you've said growing up, and you said a little bit now that you really didn't like to perform in front of people. You don't want to be compared with other people. You were shy, but what did that do for you and your soul to be in these spaces that you weren't so comfortable in? Because it had to do something, and for us to see your talent,
Yeah. Wow. You've followed the whole journey from the beginning to the end there.
There's so much more in those journeys, but I just kind of gave the sum up of those journeys, Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny to see how I was, even at that time, uncomfortable with being in front of people. And what's interesting as well is a lot of that was fear of, I knew I was different. Even when I was little, when I was 10, I didn't understand exactly why. I could just tell that I wasn't as boyish as the other guys. I sang. Instead of playing basketball or baseball, I was a singer. And not just that, but I was singing Whitney Houston and Celine Dion and Jennifer Holiday, So but I couldn't understand why I was different and what that meant, because I grew up, like I think most people, where it's like, this is what it means to be a boy and this is what it means to be a girl. And if you're not like the boy, then you must be gay. And usually that was used in like a bullying way, like, oh, you're gay at me because you're not manly enough. Like, so I was really insecure about that. I'm like, oh, it's like, oh, you sing? That's what girls do. You sound like a girl. And so I just was like, I don't want to be seen if I'm going to be made fun of. Like, I don't want to be, like, I'd rather just keep to myself. Like, I'm not bothering anyone, and that way they don't bother me. And so having to put myself in front of people all the time was really hard for me. Like, I love singing. When I would start singing, it gets to a point where you just focus on the song and you just feel all the emotion getting out, and just, it feels good to just, it's like therapeutic.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, you're kind of left with everyone looking at you. So it's like, oh, like I love to sing, but it's hard to have everyone's eyes on me.
Yeah.
It's because it's easier to just keep to myself. But I think I'm glad that from that point, from being a kid to where I am now, that I'm able to say, hey, I've been able to accomplish all these things. And to hear people like Ken tell their story of how, just hearing one of my performances, how much it meant to them during a hard time or just in a moment of their life. It's just like, wow, like I didn't think that I could mean that much to other people. Like I just am singing a song that I love to sing, or like giving myself a challenge singing a song I wouldn't normally sing, but I'm in a competition, so here we go.
Yeah.
And it just makes me think I'm just kind of in awe of all of it, really.
Yeah, I think all of the shows that you were on prepared you for where you are at this moment today, to be here and be your authentic self, which is such a gift for all of us who grew up watching you, It's been like 15 years since you've been on American Idol, which I think is crazy because I know you watched you were so young and you watched season 1 and then you watched the finale of 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and you're on season 7, which is mind-blowing in the final. If there was a time machine and you can go in it and go back to that dressing room in American Idol and you can write yourself a message on a Post-it and stick it on the mirror, what would you write yourself?
Oh gosh, just a Post-it note. I'm so bad at being short and concise. I'm like, could I fit everything on a Post-it note? I would just say, maybe I would say, hey, this is from your future self. It's okay to love yourself fully as you are, and it'll be okay.
Yeah, that's really good. It's really good. I remember after David Cook won American Idol, you went to your dressing room and like I said earlier, we voted for you, Patrick and I, just so you know. I want to make that very clear. Everyone who's watching, we voted for you. But when you went to your dressing room, I remember your studio teacher left you a slice of pizza because during that whole thing you couldn't have any dairy because when you're a singer you can't have any of the dairy and that phlegm and all that stuff in your throat. But they left you a slice of pizza, which is like, oh my God, it's like, I know you remember that. It's so special and so like beautiful.
Yes, I love Wendy. I still will hear from her every now and then.
Oh,
just because she was a huge part of my life at that time.
Of course.
Like when everyone else was like music and pulling me here and there and like how it was just crazy. She was just like my little piece of normalcy. Just, okay, like what assignments do you have today? She would help me like go through my fan mail because I was getting so much at that time.
I wonder if you got my letter. I wonder if you got my letter that I wrote to you, but whatever. We'll talk about that later.
Oh my gosh. Did you send a letter?
Of course I did.
I probably did. There's a point though where it's like, this was before DM, so you'd have to take time to open each letter.
Yes.
I remember there was I was caught up with everything and I missed one day where it was so busy I didn't have time to go through any of my fan mail. And the next day, I was like over 100 behind, and I'm just like, I only missed one day, and like that's how much mail was coming at that time.
Oh my God!
And that's why she was helping me. She was helping me
open them and like, wow.
And she even bought me a map.
Yeah.
Like so I could keep because she knew I loved seeing where all the fan letters came from the world.
Yeah.
So she got me a map so I could pin like where the letters had come from. All throughout the world, and she's just really sweet. I love Wendy.
That is so nice.
She looked out for me when I was overwhelmed. Like they kept trying to make me busy. Like I was hardly sleeping at that time. She would just kind of step in and say, "Hey, no, like he needs to have rest." Like it was her job to do that legally. She had to make sure I was like having the time to study. But sometimes she just like, "Hey." Even though I didn't really need to study, she would just give me that time so I had a moment of peace and to be alone. And it's amazing woman.
That's so great. What I want everyone to know is that when you were 6 years old, you and your family moved into a new home, and your dad, to keep you and your siblings busy, he played a tape, Les Miserables, on PBS, and you watched it over and over and over. So what was about watching Les Miserables that you said to yourself that something sparked in you and said that, yeah, I want to be a singer? Like, what was it about watching that?
Oh my gosh, I'm so amazed how I'm loving this, that each of these little moments. I don't know what it was. I think just watching the performers' faces, they just were so intense. They were so passionate. And I just couldn't get enough of that. I was just like, oh, I want to do that. I just wanted to become them. And so I did. We had a rocking chair. I'd flip it upside down. Oh my God. And that was like my seat. That was my seat amongst the cast. And I'd put like a blanket. So I'd be like one of the people in poverty, like singing, and at the end of the day, da, 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 da. And so I'd go up and sing my parts and just,
oh my God.
And what's fun is, Lea Salonga is one of the cast members. She was Eponine, and it was fun. I think it was last year or the year before that, I got to sing at an event where she performed as well.
Wow. And
just, I think a week or two ago, one of my friends posted that Lea posted a Facebook post that my mom had posted. And it was about her experience with like coming to accept me and having a queer child. And Lea has a queer child. So she said, this means so much to me. She's like, please take a moment to read this. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like someone I watched who like as a 6-7-year-old, it's like, it was a full circle moment. Like she was reposting about my mom's journey. My mom used to sing On My Own, which was, Eponine's song. So to see my mom, who was also a fan of Les Miserables, who would sing On My Own because she heard Lea sing it, Lea was now posting about her journey, learning how to love and accept her queer son.
I saw people sharing your mom's post that she did. I think it was earlier this month, and it was a beautiful post of her really declaring her love for you and kind of leaving the church. because, everything, seeing you and what you've been through. And it was just beautiful. And I know in 2012, you went to missionary school in Chile, South America, and you were there for 2 years. And it was there when you came out for the first time to the president of the mission school. I think his name was President Warren.
Yes.
What was that like for you? Because I know his response really shocked you in a good way. Because usually at these kind of churches, they would say, "Oh no, this, get away, run away, they don't love you." But he actually said that you're still loved. So I'm sure that conversation with President Warren, that had to do something for you to say, "Okay, I think I need to really, this gift that God gave me, I need to live it and be my authentic self." I'm sure it helped you in some way.
It did. It was, each person has their own unique journey of discovering themselves. And when they're on their queer journey, like discovering that part of themselves. And I think when I was in a place where I was so afraid of myself, so terrified of what it would mean to even admit that I liked guys, to say that to a leader, I felt like that's who I was supposed to tell, because they would say, if you have sin, you must, if it's a serious sin, you must confess it to a leader who can handle it in a way that it needs to be handled. So I was expecting him to send me home from my mission, telling him that I wasn't worthy and that I needed to be disciplined. And he didn't do any of that. He just said, "You know what, David, just know God loves you and you are loved and you are doing a great job." He didn't make me feel like, "Oh no, this is really bad that you are like this. This is a problem." He didn't treat it like that. And that was really sweet for me. Like he still, he'll still write me to this day, keeping me updated on his family. He knows I've come out. He knows that I've stepped away from the church, but he still just shows that he loves me, and he doesn't try to convince me of anything. He just "Hey, just want to let you know how my family's doing. I saw this about you in the news. I hope everything's going great." And it was just sweet to have. And I wish more church leaders would have that. What's hard is when they're given instructions from the top of the top leaders saying, if someone is gay, this is how you must discipline them. And I think that's where there still needs to be change. That's why I left, because I was like, well, maybe I can have conversations with them. But I saw that they were treating me like they were afraid of me because I'd come out. And I also saw that I didn't feel like it was fair. They're like, well, okay, it's okay for you to date people of the same sex. And I was like, well, how come it's okay for me to, but it's not okay for other people in my church? They could be disciplined. They could be punished if they date. Even if you go to BYU, the church I grew up's college, if you're of the same sex and holding someone's hand, you could be punished for that. And so I was just I just don't see this being fair. If everything's supposed to be true and honesty, truth, if God is truth, then my truth should be the same as anyone else's truth. And I don't think I should be given special treatment just because I'm more recognized. And I feel like if it's okay for me to, then it should be okay for anyone else to.
Ooh, yeah. Coming up, I think June 11, it's gonna be 2 years when you did your Instagram post to the world when you came out. Okay,
gosh, that's right.
It's gonna be June 11, yeah. And I remember reading it. I was like, oh my God. And I think you were in the backyard, you were pulling weeds out, and then you go to that share button on Instagram. Before you hit that share and what you wrote, which was so beautiful, were you thinking, were you going back and forth with, okay, share, don't share? I want people to know about me, I don't want people to know, or were you I have to do this? What was going in your mind right before you hit that share button?
While I was pulling the weeds, I was I put on this church talk, because I was still I'm still trying my best to do the right thing. And there was something that came up, and it said something about reaching out to people who are different than you, and to stop holding prejudices. If someone is different from you, that means they're bad and you need to stay away from them. And it's we need to be better and reach out. And I was just and the second that happened, I felt this it's like something spoke to me and it said, David, you know, I trust you, right? And I just said, yeah. And it came over me again and it said, share what you're going through right now. And I was just like, okay. And I did. I just wrote everything. I just knew what I needed to say. And it was terrifying because I was like, there's no going back after this. Like, I can't hide. Like, hiding was my protection. Even from myself. I hid from myself. Like, I didn't look at any guys. I wouldn't even dare even have a thought, like, imagine anything, because I was just like, no. But after this, I'm like, there's no going back, and I don't know what this is going to mean to expose myself. This feels so like you're standing naked in front of everyone, and it was just a scary feeling. Like, I won't be able to go back. I won't be able to, like, what if people hate me? What if people are afraid of me now? What if people never talk to me again? But to let go of all those fears and just say, I'll figure it out, I'm going to deal with it, was so freeing. It was, It changed. It was life-changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. I literally thought of that because even though I've been out, when we started our show, I wasn't really out to friends and family, but once I came out, I felt this, as you talked about earlier, this liberating thing. I felt free, that I can actually say my husband's name, because in the first season, I didn't really talk about him, but now it feels so good. I can just say Patrick. I could say my husband, and every time I say my husband, and we've been married for almost 8 years, it's just like, it hits me in my heart. It feels so beautiful, and I'll never get sick of saying that, because I feel like we have to fight to get where we are today. And at the end, I know that God is love, that God loves you the way you are, and He made you the way you are, and He made me the way I am. So I just thank you for being so open in your journey, because it's inspired so many of us, including me. And I thank you. I thank you for that post, really.
Thank you. Well, that means so much to hear. And
You're welcome.
Thank you, Paula.
You're welcome. I think what's so great too is, like, when your single Crush, when it came out in 2008, like, you would say, and I think on YouTube it has like over 153 million views, which is crazy. But like, when that song came out, I remember you saying, like, you really weren't able to connect to it at that time because you weren't being your authentic self. But now when you sing it, you can connect to it because you can think of the first crush you had, the first boy you kissed, whatever. You can think of that. And I think it's so beautiful and it's so special. And you have another new song coming out on June 2nd called Up. And you've said about the song, you said it's about the transition where I come from and where I'm going. Like, I can't wait to hear like this song. Do you have a favorite lyric in the song you want to share with us? Or like, why does the song mean so much to you as well?
Yeah. I'm very excited for the song. There's a lyric in the chorus where it says, the only place, I guess the whole chorus, the only place I'm going is up. Only make room for love. 'Cause my story's far from over. It's only begun. And then the next part of the chorus says, I'm a throw it all away, every last piece of your hate. And though my story's far from over, I've already won. It's, I think, just kind of saying, this was the narrative before, and now I'm going to change it. This is where I came from. I hit rock bottom, but it's going to change. Whatever fear existed, whatever hate, whether it was from other people or my worries of what they were thinking, or my own hate that I felt towards myself, is now going to be replaced with love. And it was just kind of a way of like, it was kind of my way of saying, like, haters gonna hate.
Yeah.
But I didn't really want to like diss people, because it's like, I was in that place not very long ago where I was the hater. I was the one afraid. I was doing it to myself. So instead of like shoving people down, it's like, no, it's not good for anyone to be down. Like, it's not a good place. I was there down. I don't want anyone to be there. I want everyone to just, let's like move up. Let's be at a better place where we accept each other, wherever we may be more loving. And especially for like people going through what we've gone through, like learning to accept ourselves, being queer people, like, instead of saying, well, screw everybody who doesn't understand us, I just want to be like, hey, the hate you're giving me, I'm just going to replace it with love. And I want you to see it from my perspective, so you can learn to love people the way I've learned to love myself and other queer people. Cause
Wow.
it's a journey. Sometimes it's a process for people. Not everyone gets there, but sometimes I feel like I'm a hopeless romantic, or I'm a hopeless, like a dreamer. But like, I was known for singing that on Imagine. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one, and I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one.
Yeah.
That's my hope.
Oh, and it's possible. It's really possible. And a time like this, your song couldn't come out at a better time. I know it's going to be a hit already. I can just tell. Thank you for sharing some of those lyrics, because it's very inspiring. My last question, because it's going to be Pride Month, what would you say to someone who feels hopeless or defeated and is struggling with being their authentic self? What would you say to that one person who's watching and saying, wow, David, what can I do to get there where you're at, where you can feel comfortable and be your authentic self?
Yeah, if anyone is feeling hopeless and feeling down, I would just say, be compassionate with yourself. Please, be patient and give yourself room to look at yourself in a non-judgmental way. The things that you feel you don't like about yourself, give yourself a chance to just let it come forward, hold it in the palms of your hands, and look at it without judging it. And the second you give yourself that chance to just look at it from the outside, not looking at it as like, this is so horrible, this is so icky and so gross, I have to hide this, I have to suppress it, allow it to come forward and just give it love. And the second you're able to do that, you're able to see what, this wasn't as scary or as horrible as I thought it was, and I'm worthy of love. I'm worth loving, and that includes me loving myself.
Oh, that's so beautiful. When you get to that place where you are today, where I'm at today, and anyone who's watching, I say it does get better, and it's so beautiful, because when you get to be your authentic self, that's when so many things will come your way. It's a gift. It's a beautiful thing. And give your mom a big hug for me, because I think your mom is an amazing woman. So give her a big hug for me, because for her to be where she's at today and to accept her son and put you first and know how special you are, really, I want other moms to know that is a beautiful, gracious, loving mother. Okay, so you give your mom a hug for me. Yeah.
Follow.
You're welcome.
She'll appreciate that, and I hope everyone else's moms who are like my mom hear that too. We love you, moms.
Yeah, we do. Okay, so this is what we want to do this for you, because it's Pride Month. We wanted to honor you. So what we're going to do for Pride Month and honor of you, David, we're going to donate $500 to the Trevor Project in honor of you.
Thank you. That is so sweet.
Yeah, they're the leading suicide prevention organization for LGBTQIA+, for young people. So I feel like with your story, I started by saying, everyone who loves you, we're so happy that you're here. And I know that it was such a deep struggle for you, but in this time where people are trying to take our rights away, and with drag queens and these books banning, it's a really an ugly place in the world. But there's so many beautiful people like you, and your story, your message that you're getting out there is really going to help, and it will continue to save people's lives. So I know I speak for everyone when I say thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Paulo.
Yeah.
It's so lovely to talk to you. I appreciate this. This is really wonderful.
Oh, you're welcome. I can't believe I voted for you in 2008, and now you're here in our show. If somebody would have told me, here you are. I won't ask you to sing me Crush, because then I'm going to go all weeping cry. But I just think you're just amazing, and I'm so happy for everything that comes your way and continues to come your way, because you deserve all of this. You deserve all of this, okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh,
so lovely to talk to you and to meet you, and also lovely to see Patrick as well.
Come say bye. Okay.
Bye.
All
Patrick,
right.
so nice to meet you.
That was wonderful.
Thanks, Dave. It's such a great interview. I love you thank you for being so open. It's just, your story is so powerful and so beautiful. When you're at this space where you can be open and honest and you're comfortable with it, it's just, you're saving so many lives out there, and you have this platform. So it's just, you're a gift from God. You really are a gift from God, okay?
Thank you. Y'all are too kind. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, thank you. Okay.
Oh, wonderful. This was so So great. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
having.
Have a great Pride
Thank
Month,
y'all.
and thank you for everything, David.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Good Pride
Ken.
Month.